Hey, just out of curiosity this morning, what was the most thoughtful thing somebody just did for you recently? 800-447-7234. It's Rob and Lizz in the morning.
Lee is a farmer, and he has been working overtime for a good long while. Like, he's been clearing out some land. He's been planting some seeds. In fact, he planted 1.2 million sunflowers. Now, he does not have a sunflower farm. He's not somebody who goes and sells sunflowers to different stores. He did it for a specific purpose, and it was his 50th anniversary to his wife. Her name's Renee. She loves sunflowers.
That was so thoughtful.
It was so thoughtful.
Just all of a sudden wakes up one day, there's 1.2 million sunflowers for his sweetheart.
So here's the thing. How did he hide them from her? Were they in a very, very, long way away? You know, she never goes that way, and he bought a specific field.
Don't look in that direction, sweetheart. I know it's our backyard. Don't look that way.
Right, for months. Don't look that. And I don't know how long it takes to grow sunflowers, but they last 2 weeks. So she is able, like when they're in their prime.
Oh, I had no idea.
So think of all the thought and work that he put in to making those 2 weeks so special for his honey, for his schmoopy. It was great.
And Scott's kids did something thoughtful for him one time.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, my wife made this book with my kids' pictures. And so it's an actual book in a bound, format. And each page is a picture with a little caption and description all the way from when they were born to some of the things they were doing when they were really little.
So sweet.
Super, super special to me.
Because you know that she didn't run out to the local QT, right before your birthday or whatever. Like, it took thought to put that, to even do it and then put
planning,
it together.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
Thinking about those things that were thoughtful that somebody just did for you. At 800-447-7234. Kathy's here. What about you, Kathy? What happened that was thoughtful for you?
Well, that's easy, but I might not be able to tell you without crying. It was 2012. My dad had passed away in the summer. It was my first parent to go to heaven. And my husband asked me what I wanted for Christmas. And I said, 10 minutes with my dad. So, Christmas Eve, I was cooking. He was in the living room going through old home videos. I had no idea what he was doing. He called me into the living room and had me sit down. And he put on a video of my dad at a birthday party we had for him when he turned 65. And I cried and I laughed, but it was the best gift I ever received because it did feel like 10 minutes with my dad.
Your dad was so special to you.
And my husband, oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
We're crying with you this morning, Kathy.
I get it.
But it's good tears.
It is, because somebody that would take, I think it took him hours, I don't know, to get it to just the right place and to find just the right video.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
It's Rob and Lizz in the morning, his radio.
If you have little kids, when you try to hire a babysitter, it can get expensive. And if you have more than one child, the price goes up. So there is the two best friends that they have decided they are going to do like a child care swap. And so when the one woman, Emily, when she decides, okay, I want a date night with my husband, she calls her friend Jessica and she's like, okay, so I need you this night. Jessica goes over, she takes care of the kids, she cleans the house. Not really cleans it like a deep clean, but kind of picks it up. She puts the kids to bed. She reads them a story, kind of acts like a mom by proxy a little bit. Then they swap back and forth. Nobody ever has to pay a dime, but they do it once a month. Each person in this couple gets a free night of babysitting.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I love this. I didn't have anybody kind of in my circle that had kids kind of the same age or, that I could do that with. I so wish, because it was so hard. I had two boys, 17 months apart, and they were wild. And it was really difficult to get somebody to take all of that on.
Yeah, especially if you don't have family in the area. I mean, that works. When we moved here over 20 years ago, we had nobody at all. I mean, and then my wife is like, well, these are my kids. I'm just not going to trust anybody with my kids,
Exactly. So that comes into it, not only the high expense, but then you've got to do kind of a background check and check references and stalk the social media.
That's a great idea. You have friends with kids. You go, hey, I'll watch your kids this weekend if you watch mine the next weekend, and we'll just continue that once a month.
Yeah, and nobody ever has to shell out any money, but I do love that they even go the step past that. Once the kids are down in bed, that they're kind of picking up. They're decluttering. They're wiping down the counters.
They're just picking up after the kids.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Put the toys away.
Right.
So it's not all cluttered that the other, well, they get it. It's like, hey, if I come home to a mess, I've got to clean this up. Thank you for picking up after the kids after they played with the toys.
Absolutely.
That's a great idea.
Such a great idea.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
Liz looks at me. She goes, okay, I just saw this meme. And it says, when I was a kid, I thought this little pig went to the market meant it went shopping.
Not when I was a kid, today in this moment, sitting here. And then I read into what that meme says, and I realized the piggy didn't go to market to go shopping. He was going to be available to us to purchase after he went to, and it makes me sad. So
You mean what you thought the whole time, that the little piggy went to the market, the piggy was going to go to the grocery store. Is that what you thought?
He was going shopping for his family. And then, because the next one, this little piggy went home.
Not to a place where bacon's served.
Right.
Right? Okay, I get it.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Now I have to go back and reread all the nursery rhymes, all the stories.
To see what they all mean?
To see what the actual intent was, because this little piggy went to market, this little piggy stayed home, this little piggy had roast beef. What? This little piggy
Had
what's
none.
the next? Had none. That's right. And this little piggy went wait, all
the way home.
This little piggy went to market, this little piggy stayed home. Okay. So is he the only the first little piggy? Is he the only one that?
No, there was one that stayed home.
Right, he stayed home, so he wasn't in
The market.
danger.
Yeah.
So the first little piggy's the only one that had an issue.
Well, you're going to have to read up on it, evidently.
Like, what is happening in my life?
That the little piggy didn't go grocery shopping. It was bacon instead.
I was running to Publix.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
I don't know if you heard, and I think Scott's going to love this, that Spy Kids, there's 3 movies out, right?
I think so.
There's another one coming out.
Wow.
Spy Kid, yeah. So I don't know how many years later
But
it
those
is.
kids are already grown up. Like
Yeah.
Alexa Pena Vega, I follow her.
Who and a what, huh?
She was the star, the female star.
What's the last name?
Alexa Pena Vega. So that's her married hyphenated
I would never
name.
be able to pronounce that last name. So let me see. Jake, one of our producers, you are like I'm not going to say fan, but you know that there's like 3 movies and stuff, right?
I love Spy Kids. I think they're great. There's technically a 4th one, but we don't talk about Bruno.
Oh, okay. So that was the bad one, huh? There's always a bad one in a series,
Well,
but
they
they're coming
keep-
out. This would be number 5 then.
Oh, okay. Well, a lot of times with the originals, they keep it going so long that it just kind of plays out, and you're like, okay.
I know, right? But like Scott is all into these Spy Kids.
We watched the first 2. I think the first one came out like 20-something years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. 2001, 2002, something like that. But yeah, it's one of those movies where adults and kids like it, and it's fun.
I've seen one of them, and Sylvester Stallone's in it. I think what's that, Jake? The 3rd one?
Yes.
Yeah, the 3rd one.
What's the one? Is this Spy Kids that Taylor Lautner was in?
Who?
No, that was Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Okay, never mind. So, see, I am not a fan.
She's putting them all mashed up together.
I am, because it's all of these, grown up. They're stars as grown ups, and they were in a lot of these kind of kid movies. And I know that my kids watched Spy Kids. The only takeaway that I have is Antonio Banderas and Alexa Pena Vega.
Wow.
I'm getting
Excuse
it
you.
all messed up.
Oh, man.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
A lot of respect for people who have twins, triplets, quadruplets,
Septuplets.
8 tuplets, whatever.
Octuplets.
I don't
think
know.
it's octuplets. I think.
Octuplets, something like that. So here is Kathleen and Lee. Lee's a little older than Kathleen. He has 2 grown kids. She's like 35. And so all of a sudden they have triplets. And they make a really tough decision. Kathleen's deaf, and she works all the time. She's like, I'm not going to be a great mom to all these kids. And so they make the tough decision and put 2 of them up for adoption.
Wow.
To a family that was like going through infertility, and they're praying, God, can we ever have kids? And then 2 of them come into their lives.
Gold chills.
I know, right? So the one that Kathleen and Lee have kept as their baby in the home was Ricky. And at the age of 10, Ricky's daddy passed away.
Aww.
And then all of a sudden, this gift of, Mommy, you've told me that I have 2 sisters. I would love to meet them.
Oh, I'm glad she told her. I'm
Right?
glad she said this.
She said this. So when she was 10, her 2 sisters were getting ready to move to a different state altogether, or I think they were. One of the others were moving, and so they got together once, and they met each other once, and they have this picture of them at 10. It's so beautiful. Well, you fast forward to not too long ago, 2023, and they've all just reconnected, and they just got back together again and took another picture. Now they're all living in the same city.
Oh my, are they really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, and they're beautiful. They look exactly the same. They're like identical almost.
They are. You can
my,
tell.
Oh my goodness. I am so glad. I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day about adoption, and when to talk to the kids about that kind of thing. And I'm so glad that they did, and they didn't wait too long. Because you wouldn't want that to be a surprise later on in life.
Yeah. For in our situation, Eli has known all along that he's in a forever family and that he was adopted and picked and chosen and all that other stuff. It's a beautiful story. And now that he's 15, he does have questions.
Sure.
And we're able to reveal questions exactly when God wants us to reveal them.
And he's ready to hear them. But
Yeah.
I love that you say the word chosen, because I think sometimes kids that are adopted think, why was I given away? Why did this happen? But the thing is, you were chosen by God for this family that so wanted you and so loved you.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
Alfred is in Australia, and he is the oldest man alive in Australia. He has a job.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll tell you what it is. He knits sweaters for penguins.
stop it. This is just the sweetest thing.
Yeah, so little penguins, the baby penguins are subject to like oil, and there's some oil. I guess there's an oil spill or something. I can't remember why. But the sweaters that they put on these little baby penguins help them stay away from that oil getting on their skin.
All I can see is this little old man knitting his little sweater for his little penguin.
And he does a great job, and he designs them, and they're all different, and they all. It's not like the same sweater for every little penguin that Alfred makes. He's 109 years old, and he's doing this still.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
So you're showing me a picture, and it's on his radio TV. But wow, like one has a P on it for penguin. Are you kidding me right now, Mr. Alfred?
Yeah, right? And he does this. So, Alfred, way to go, man.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
People, we got to stop. So just a couple of days ago, mustard Skittles. Mustard Skittles. Why are we doing this? Mustard Skittles.
What a treat.
Now, if you go to Florida, you go to the theme park, you go to Epcot, you can get a pickle milkshake. A pickle milkshake.
That doesn't sound appetizing.
It doesn't.
I'm sorry.
And the acidity in the pickle, when it gets with the milk, is it not going to curdle it? Because that's science. That is just science, people.
Science. Here's your science lesson. From our teacher, Mrs. Riles.
Who doesn't know a lot about science, but those two things I know. Pickled flavored shake. Here's the deal. You got a dollop of whipped cream on top. Okay, I'm okay with that. Pickling spices are mixed in, and they top it off with a sprig of dill.
Nice. Well, there
First of
you
all,
go.
Who eats a sprig of dill? If you can't eat it, take it off.
I have a feeling that Scott does because he had, what was it at the fair you had? Was it a fair or a carnival?
It was the Got to Be NC Festival earlier this summer, and one of the stands, it was pickle lemonade.
Pickled lemonade.
And
I know,
I went
right?
up, and she said, "Do you like pickles?" And I said, "I really like pickles." And she said, "Okay, I'll make it for you." So it's a mix of lemonade and pickles, and they even put the real chunks of pickle in there too.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's
Yeah.
worse.
So when you finish it, you have the pickle chunks you can eat.
Chunks. I'll give you a chunk.
Come on. What did you think of it?
Well, when I first tried it, it was hot, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty good." But the more I drank it, the less of a fan I became. But it was overall
The
pretty good.
less of a fan.
Yeah.
It's hot, and you're putting something like that in your body.
Yeah.
There's only bad things that can
You
happen.
really need to like pickles. I will say that. If you don't like pickles, you won't like pickle lemonade. But if you like pickles, you'll probably enjoy it.
But it makes sense science-wise because you've got two acidic things. Okay, they kind of, I get it.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
There's this teacher, and he likes to ask his class on the first day of school, share a boring fact about yourself. And then they share it. It's like a nice little icebreaker. Like, for instance, boring fact about Scott, our news guy.
I'm a pretty boring guy in general, but there
No,
is
you're
a
not.
little boring fact with me as far as putting on, getting ready for the day. I have to put my right sock on first and then my left sock before I try any shoes. So the socks have to go on a certain order.
I think he should mix it up.
I think so.
I'm thinking put on your left sock and then put on your right shoe and then put on your
can't do it.
left shoe, take off your right shoe, put on the right sock, take off the left shoe, put on the right shoe.
Oh, I'm getting
then-
dizzy thinking about that.
You'll need a
I-
diagram for
No.
that.
It'll unbore your sock routine.
Wow.
Maybe I'll
Yeah.
try it. It's really, oh boy, that's really tough though.
You know
We'll
what
see.
I think about this? To me, it's harder to find something boring about yourself because we're so conditioned to talk about the most interesting things
It
in our
is.
lives.
Yeah.
So when you think boring, like I know I'm boring, but I can't think of anything specifically other than I have Spock's eyebrows. I don't know.
I don't know what Spock's eyebrows. No,
I
you
do-
do. She does not have
Right.
Spock's eyebrows.
So Spock on the show would the character they would shave
Star
the
Trek,
back.
yeah.
Right, they would shave the back so that it looked like he just had this part. So if you look at my eyebrows and you just shave the back off, Spock's eyebrows. I think that's boring. But
Okay.
I think still
I put away dishes in the morning. That's boring.
that is boring.
See how boring?
See, that is boring.
I told you.